Hey peeps, it's Raj Groves, Believe in Chelsea FC, and I've got my favorite pundit, the grumpiest pundit of them all. That's right, Tommy Smyth from the Grumpy Pundit. You can listen to a show like I do on Sirius XM with Rodney Marsh on channel 157. Tommy, thanks for joining us again. The Chelsea fans love hearing from you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with you, especially the way
Hey,
Chelsea are going.
right. And speaking of the way they're going, the first thing I had to ask you is, are they exceeding your expectations? I mean, new manager, new system. Have Chelsea exceeded your expectations so far?
Well, we've asked the question, myself and Rodney, I don't know, maybe 500,000 times, had Chelsea turned the corner? And every time we thought to turn the corner, we said, there's another corner to be turned now because they haven't turned it completely. And I suppose you could say that again because, 2 weeks ago, they were fantastic. Cole Palmer, not does he score a hat trick, he doesn't score a brace or a hat trick, he scores 4 goals. How many guys can score 4 goals in any game, especially in the Premier League? But then what happened on the weekend? They couldn't score but one. So, you have to ask the question. And I would have to say they're definitely way past the expectations, Raj.
Yeah, indeed. And one difference from last year too, though, is you're right. They did have these things they would get going and then they kill. This year they seem to be taking care of business against the teams they're supposed to. Like I know they only got 1 point this last game, but they've been beating lesser teams than when last year they would give up points, a draw or even lose the Southamptons and all. So a little bit of a difference maybe this year. Now, Maresca has said correctly, he says, listen, they're not at the level of Man City or Arsenal or Liverpool. What say you? Can they be title contenders?
Yeah, they can be. They can be, and I'm sure. Maresca he's a kind of a very what shall I say? He doesn't mind taking prisoners. He doesn't like to take prisoners, but he doesn't mind telling players you're not doing it. You're not doing it right. You're not doing it the way I want it. He came out last week and said that hey, they're in fourth place now by his reckoning, and he said that's a better place than many people thought we would be. And he said, with all the things that has happened with the injuries and everything else that's gone on, he said, hey, it's pretty good. I'm very happy where Chelsea is. But I'm sure Chelsea fans are not that happy where they are. They would like to see them a little bit higher.
Yeah, I just listen. We're in a damn conference league right now. Okay, I'll take top four any day. I just want to see us playing on Tuesday and Wednesdays again, and in the Champions League. So I would take a top four, Tommy. Of course, when we come back, we'll see how we look against Liverpool. But you say perhaps they can contend. All right, I love it. Let me get to a concern of mine. However, what does it mean if a team is leading the English Premier League in yellow cards? What is that? Is that on the manager? Is that just the players' discipline? What is that about? Because they are number one in yellow cards, and I don't like it.
No, it's not a good stat. There's a lot of stats that you would like to be number one in, but that's not one of them because you realize not alone during a game. You're jeopardizing yourself that you're going to get two yellow cards. You've seen what happened to Fernandez with Manchester United 2 weeks in a row. He got two yellows and a red, and he's out. So you're dicing with danger. And if you're a back or anything, you can't afford to tackle the way you want to tackle if you have one yellow card. So one yellow card is not good. Plus the fact that if you get an accumulation of yellow cards, you get a suspension. And the one thing you don't want is the suspension. So I would say it's on the players. It's discipline. You got to be very disciplined. You got to be very careful. And I know, there's a lot of questions that I would ask about the referees now in England because they're just not up to scratch as far as I'm concerned. They're making a lot of mistakes. We see it happen on one end of the field and as a penalty. We see it happen on the other end of the field and the referee waves it on. Go ahead, play on.
Yeah.
If it's a penalty on one end of the field, it's a penalty here. And also, like, if you looked at the Liverpool game on Saturday, that was a penalty kick. If that foul happens 20 yards outside of the goal, the referee points that's a free. So if it's a free kick out there, it's a free kick in the box.
Yeah,
he grabbed
sure.
a hold of him, and if you go and read the rule, I know people are shouting at me saying that's not true, Tommy. The rule says that if you grab or attempt to grab, It doesn't say you
Oh,
have to grab.
I
Read the
didn't know.
rule. Read the rule,
Yeah.
my friends. It says attempt to grab. That's the key wording in it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good knowledge there from Tommy Smith. Of course, we're joined by Tommy Smith from the Grumpy Pundits you can listen to on Sirius XM. Now, you talked about the accumulation of yellow cards, Tommy. We're going to be missing Mark Cucurella and Wesley Fofana for this Liverpool games because they have 5 already. You talked about defenders not being able to do it. They've got 5. They're going to miss the match because they are suspended. So, man, I hear you there with these yellows. So that's on the players. Got to be more disciplined. This isn't a one-year thing, dude. It's been a trend with Chelsea. It's a weird thing. Tom, I wanted to get your thoughts on the supposed captain who, if healthy, was going to be suspended this year for yellow cards. But Reece James, now I've been saying for a while now, it hasn't been a popular subject with my Chelsea brothers and sisters. But I was saying last year, listen, you got to sell a year early rather than a year late when it comes to an asset that I feel is declining. What are your thoughts on Reece James? And if Chelsea did get him, like, how much off of the dollar are they going to get now? Is it even worth trying to sell?
I wouldn't think it's even worth trying to sell him now.
Mm.
Reece James, unfortunately, he had a couple of fantastic years for Chelsea.
Oh,
My
yeah.
God, he was brilliant. But he started getting injuries. I think it's the injuries that did him in. He gets one injury, then he's back for a couple of weeks and he gets another injury. Maybe what he needs is a little while off to recuperate from those injuries, and maybe he can come back to his glory days. But I don't think there's not that many clubs would be looking at Reece James now and saying, hey, we really need him. Where 2-3 years ago, there would be a lot of big clubs around the world saying, hey, we'd love to get a hold of Reece James. He's some player, because he was some player at that stage.
Yeah, that's true. He's missed a lot of time, man. The last 4 out of 5 years. It's amazing. And what bothers me, Tommy, what worries me, it's a chronic injury. It's the same thing. It's the hamstring over and over and over. That's not going away, man, if it keeps coming back, even after surgery,
Yeah, well, Rodney always explains that, about people tell you with the hamstrings. And if the hamstring goes in a certain way, you got to give it a lot of time. There are some
Okay.
hamstrings that heal, but if it goes in a certain way and it comes back a second time, you better lay down for a while and just forget about it, because it's not going away. And every time you're going to stretch it, you're going to pull it. And it leaves you in a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely where we are with Reece James. Tommy, quickly on another player, Enzo Fernandez. I was looking at some stats. He's averaging 20 less touches a game this year than last year. With the inverted left fielder or left back, the way Chelsea do with Cucurella coming in, does Fernandez fit in Enzo Maresca's system, in your opinion?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, it's a question we've been asking, because when they bought Fernandez, he was supposed to be, he was supposed to be the sliced pan of the group. I mean, he was supposed to be going to be brilliant. He hasn't really proved himself to be brilliant. And yeah, he has a problem in the way they're set out and the way the ball comes to him and how often the ball comes to him, And I would say Maresca's working on it. He feels that he's a great player. We haven't seen the best of him yet. But if he's as good as Maresca thinks he is, he's got to figure a way to get him into that system, because you rightly pointed out, the system is skewed away from him, And if you're not going to get the ball, if the ball's not going to be played to you and they're not going to bring you into the play, especially in his position, there's no way he can get into the play himself unless the ball happens to come to him. But I mean, if he's looking to go up the field and they're not playing the ball to him, yeah, you're not seeing the best of him. And my understanding is that he is a fantastic player. I haven't seen it yet.
I only see it when he puts on that Argentine shirt. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
in Chelsea blue. It's a whole different player when he plays for Argentina, and I can't figure it out, Tommy.
Yeah, but look at the system when Argentina play, and look at the system when Chelsea play.
Yeah.
See where he is on the field when Chelsea play, and see where he is on the field when Argentina play.
Great point. Speaking of positions and system, Chelsea fans and me are just infatuated with getting, Victor Osimhen, Amarodi, and all these strikers. Do Chelsea need a striker, or do you feel they are set with Nicholas Jackson and then Nguku, who can't seem to get a place on the pitch unless with the B team?
Yeah, the problem I think with Nicholas Jackson is he shows himself to be a great player one game. The next game he doesn't show up. I mean, he's a little bit, from my consideration, and I would say Maresca feels the same way, he's a little bit inconsistent. And Osimhen would be a great asset. He would be a great asset because he doesn't miss. I mean, he is just so good. And I mean, he obviously didn't get along with Conte. Whoever did get along with Conte is a good question. But he's a great manager. I'm not taking any away from him, folks. But
Sure.
he's even grumpier than I am, and that's saying a lot, you know. And Osimhen definitely wants to go someplace. And the rumor are that he would love to be playing in London. So Chelsea would be the spot for him, and I think he would be. I think he would be the last, the last little piece of the jigsaw.
Okay.
If they got him the ball, he is lethal when he gets the ball in front of goal.
Lethal when he gets the ball. Consistency. That's what you say. Yeah, we definitely know that. And Jackson, he's a natural left winger, and coming in now, he's playing the striker. But yeah, there's games it just seems he's lost. He's lost indeed. Tommy, real quick, since we had a lot of Chelsea players on the England squad, new manager, is it going to make a difference for England and national squad? We got some international play here. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, England are going to be what England are. I mean, they get to a final and they lose. That's what they are. I mean, it doesn't matter who's managing them. And
they're the bridesmaid. They're the bridesmaid.
Yeah. What about the new manager that the US have got, Pochettino? I mean, that was a good scoop by the US. You got to congratulate them and say, hey guys, you did yourself a good favor there, because Pochettino, to my money, he's a good manager. I know he hasn't. People are saying, oh, he hasn't won much, but he has the ability with young players, and I think that's what the US need right now. And they don't have much time because the World Cup is in 2 years, and everybody says, oh yeah, but that's 2 years. But keep in mind, folks, the US don't have to qualify. So the US are not going to have any tough games. The US are host of the World Cup, so they are not qualifying. That is to me, that's a key difference, because you're going out and you're playing, okay, they're playing this weekend, they're playing Panama. Is Panama world power? I mean, wouldn't you love to get drawn against Panama in the World Cup? So why are you playing them in a friendly? I mean, what are you going to learn from it? Okay, maybe in this case, I will give them absolution, because maybe Pochettino needs to have a look at the players that's there and see what he needs to do, because he can't. I mean, I don't think that Pochettino can go and say, okay, I'm going to use the same players as the last manager, and I'm going to use them in the same positions. Then what are you doing? You're just recycling. You're just rinse and wash. I mean, everybody knows that the US depends on Pulisic. If Pulisic is a good game, the US have a good game. So the key for Pochettino is to figure out how everybody else can contribute and help Pulisic have a good game. I'm not saying to put him up on a little pedestal, but that's where he deserves to be, especially the way he's playing with AC Milan this year.
Indeed. And I put this man up on a pedestal. The Grumpy Pundit, Tommy Smyth. You can hear the show Grumpy Pundits, him and Rodney Marsh on Sirius XM Channel 157. Tommy, it's always great talking to you until we catch up again, my friend.
Take care, my friend. Peace.